Hey guys, welcome back to Faster and Louder. Okay, it's been a minute since you guys have been in the vehicle with me going anywhere, right? It's been a little while since I had the Challenger, the bitchin' banana, so there hasn't been a whole lot of videos like this. But I'm actually heading to the Faster and Louder shop right now, and this is going to be a little bit different of a video than I normally do. But we're going to be talking about my 1973 AMC Javelin AMX. So before we get started, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed. I know that I picked up some new followers with the Javelin and everything, and there's still a ton of guys that are hanging on from the Challenger era, I guess you could call it now. But I just wanted to say thank you, and if you like this video and you want to keep up with what's happening in the future, please subscribe, like the video, please leave a comment. I try to comment back to everybody as I see the comments come in. Anyways, this video is going to be all about the work that's been done on the Javelin and all the work that still needs to be done, and kind of just where I'm at on this whole project, because I know it's sort of confusing. Even if you do follow along, it might be a little bit confusing on what's been done and what I'm still planning on doing. I just wanted to make it kind of more clear, and maybe just give a couple updates here and there, because some things have definitely changed since the beginning of this whole project. But we're in a good point right now. I feel like it's kind of like a halfway right now. I think it's like, I mean, most of the things that need to be taken out of the car in order to make it roadworthy has been taken out of the car. I've started to put things back into the car, as I'll go over here in just a minute, but we're at a good halfway point right now, and I think it's a good time to just kind of like sit back and assess everything. So I wanted to make a video about that, and you know, just document everything as I have been doing. That's what I really like about this channel, I guess, about doing this whole thing, is like, I don't really, it's not like I have a huge following or anything, but I really do enjoy just documenting the whole process. It's fun. It adds like a new layer of I don't know, entertainment, even just for myself. It's fun making these videos. I appreciate you guys watching them and giving me feedback and everything, and I hope that you continue to do the same moving forward. So without any further ado, let's get into checking out the Javelin. This is the Javelin AMX that I acquired last year. I paid less than $5,000 for this car. You can go back to the original video, the first video, if you want to see what kind of shape it was in when I got it. And you'll probably say, I hope that you got it for less than $5,000 because it was in pretty rough shape, and it still is, technically speaking, in very rough shape. It's basically a shell right now. I mean, it's a little bit more constructed, I guess, but I, as you can see, have disassembled basically the entire front end. Certain parts are kind of just sitting in here right now, but I did POR 15 to a lot of like the structural parts in the front end, and then I used high temperature engine paint for like all the things that actually get warmer, a little hotter. So, you know, like all this stuff's POR 15. I'm trying to like make it more durable, make it last longer on all that stuff. So I use POR 15. It's a little more heavy duty. I'm gonna turn on another light back here. Another thing that you'll notice that I did, it's kind of dusty now, but I totally did a huge project on just the paint. I mean, it's really kind of goofy that I even bothered to do that, because it very obviously, even still, it very obviously needs a decent amount of body work. It needs paint. It needs pretty much everything. I just was more curious than anything, and I wanted to see how good I could get the paint looking. And even though it still looks like crap, especially when you get closer to it, you know, you can see where all these little rust spots kind of came out of the paint and everything. But if you go back, I mean, I'll probably pop some video in here really quick. There is a decent amount of paint still on it, technically, but you can see that there's a very obvious difference in quality, and that was a cool little project I did. There's, you know, this is probably one of the worst spots in the car. Like the back part of the car, like from here back, is like where all the bad rust kind of crap is. Like I think that this side of the car may have actually stuck out of the pole barn that it was in Washington. There is some other rust. I never did actually get around any of this stuff. There's still some rust rattling around in there. I'll probably take this trunk lid off eventually. But yeah, it rusted through there, and then there's some rust over here too, which is definitely gonna have to be gotten around to at some point. But I'm not really gonna get around to that right away. I just want to get this on the road, so we'll do that later on. When this car gets to a point where it's like driving and everything's good, then I'll start moving on to cosmetic stuff. So, I mean, that's pretty much the way this whole project's gone so far. And then inside, this was all pretty wrecked. The interior pieces are all still somewhat, I'm like, the only ones that are in are these rear ones on the sides, like in the back seat, but those have been repainted. The black strip I didn't repaint, I just kind of left that. But the whole floorboard was basically wire brushed out. Holy crap. Dude, look at this. Oh my god. I put POR 15, which you can still see down there in the floorboard-ish part that's like diagonal. POR 15 on the whole floorboard. Put down some sound deadening, put down carpet, got this aftermarket seat, painted it. I painted the steering wheel, I painted this console. This is still sitting in here at this point, which is going to be more stuff that still needs to be done. I got that shifter from Killed Off Machine. I'm going to probably paint the dashboard at some point, but it's actually in somewhat decent shape and can probably be cleaned up just a little bit more. I'll get to that later. The doors don't have the panels or anything on them yet either, because there's some issues with the doors. Basically what's going on here, I'm not totally sure yet. I haven't taken a whole lot of time to look into it. I do know that like some of these levers and the mechanisms are kind of just rough, or they're like frozen up or something. So it could be that these keys don't even work for the doors, or it could be that it's just so locked up. I don't know, like the lock cylinders might be frozen up for all I know. So I need to get all that figured out before I put the door panels back on, is kind of what I'm getting at with that. I guess one thing that you would probably be wondering about is, where is the engine? I made a video where my stepdad Ivan and we took the engine and transmission out, and the transmission's sitting over here, hasn't really been touched since, but the engine actually got sent out to a machine shop and they got everything bored out. It's bored out 30 over. It's actually going to be built by a guy that does engines for AZ AMC restorations in Peoria, Arizona. So it's actually like 20 minutes away from me right now, like directly west. But that was supposed to be done already, technically, but then all the supply chain things really started hitting and making things a problem. It was supposed to be done like by the end of last year, at the end of 2021. And it's March, what is it? Today is March 5th. And it's no fault of AZ AMC restoration, so I'll just make that clear. I specifically wanted Edelbrock heads. Edelbrock is taking forever to start manufacturing of their heads, at least for AMCs. So it just keeps getting pushed out like 1 month, 2 months, whatever. Like I think right now, last time I checked, it was like June. So I'm not even sure if this engine's gonna be done. I might get pretty much this entire thing done by the time the engine's done. And then it might just be a situation where like I get the engine and just put it in, and that's the last thing before I actually get down the road of this. The suspension is also obviously a whole other thing that's going on right now. The reason why a lot of progress hasn't been made somewhat recently is because I got held up waiting for the brakes, because I want to do suspension and brakes kind of like all in one thing, and I thought that I was going to end up waiting for months and months for my brakes also, and they ended up coming like, it took like 2 months to get them still, but it came sooner than I thought I was going to get them. But I have Willwood brakes coming for the front end. I got the master cylinder, or new master cylinder. I got the brake booster totally rebuilt. I have stainless steel brake lines, all this stuff. It's just a matter of putting everything in here, and I obviously can't really get started on the brakes until suspension is done. And we still have some bushings over here. These go into these lower, these are like spring mounts, or I guess you call them spring perches for the front. And there's put this in a way I can point at things. These around here, this is like a metal cylinder that basically just pivots inside of here, and then there's the bushings around it. That's what these are. So we need to get these pressed in here. These are polyurethane though. And then these are like a lot of the other components that I have. I got new springs waiting, shocks, all that stuff. It's just waiting to be put in there. I have a brand new radiator that's been sitting up in my loft for a long time. Another project is redoing, like basically taking out that old gas tank. That just needs to come out completely. I have a brand new gas tank with sending unit and all that stuff. So that'll get replaced soon. Before I forget about it, the transmission needs to be completely gone through. It may work in the condition that it is right now. I'm not even really sure. I never had a chance to check it out. But I have a whole new rebuild kit for it. I have a 2500 RPM stall converter from Hughes. I have a shift kit to basically allow me to shift it manually and hold out every gear. Let's see. And then the rear axle, it needs new brakes on the rear. It needs, eventually at some point, it's gonna need new leaf springs. I was gonna do one-piece rear axles. I have 315 gears in it right now. I'm gonna go to 373. I'm also gonna put a limited slip differential in it. So a lot of that stuff, minus the brakes, might have to just wait a minute because that's expensive. It's just a lot of little things, and they really add up on price, on the cost and everything. So probably just gonna wait a second on that. For the interior, I forgot to mention, I am going to get a racing harness in here, but I found out this brand, Schroth, I believe they make like harnesses for SpaceX or something crazy like that. But they have an anchor point in the back basically, and it's like a 3-point harness. So it has a lap belt that goes into like the factory locations on the bottom. So that part's like the same, but then it like anchors in the back and then comes through, you know, the spot here in the seat, and it goes over and connects to the bottom like the lap belt. And it's supposed to be like a anti-submarine, what they call that? Anti-submarining or something. It basically keeps you from like sliding down in your seat and like, I don't know, killing yourself. And I got all new wheels and tires. These are like mini light replicas, these are kind of like Watanabe replicas, but Watanabes are replicas of mini lights. So whatever you want to call it. These are Rota RKR wheels. They're 15 by 8, all 4 of them. They just have shorter, more narrow tires on the front, and then obviously taller, wider in the back. These are 275 60 15s. These are 235 60 15s on the front. Jeez, it's a lot. When I start rattling off all this stuff, I'm just thinking about it, like, it really is a lot still to do, but it's like I said, it's at a point where it's like I can almost just kind of start like throwing things back into the car at this point, which is nice, but it is a ton of work still. Like, even if I got the engine today, you know, obviously the whole front end's torn apart at this point, and there's like nothing else in here, like nothing else is wired up or anything. I'm gonna show you a couple of things actually upstairs too. This is kind of where I keep like a lot of my random stuff. Like, these are all parts that have come off of the car. These are some parts that are going to be going back on it. I restored the cowl air cleaner a while back, and you know, just painted like some other random stuff. It's kind of just in between projects, and probably just kind of bored and wanted to make some sort of progress. It's just kind of person that I am. But these are a lot of the panels I already painted. These are also cooling lines, like for the transmission, and brake lines, fuel lines, all that stuff. This is the transmission cross member. This is the top like radiator support piece. This is that fuel tank I was talking about. I have headers. I have the front brake kit, transmission rebuild kit, torque converter, transmission cooler. I cleaned the front grille that's going to go back on it already. I had this blasted and I painted it. This is just like the latch core, I don't know, like the support for the radiator basically. There's some other random stuff like this grille I'm gonna have to get fixed at some point. I haven't even touched the hood since I took it off. These original seats, which are at least not going to be going back on anytime soon. These are the fenders, which I need to do something with. There's like dents, like a big old pushed in spot in the fender I'm probably gonna want to fix. And then this one has some rust at the bottom, so I'd like to get that fixed maybe before I put it back on. I just have a really hard time like taking something off that's bad and then putting it back on still in bad shape. It's just too hard for me to do. This is a bunch of just other random crap. Like, I have the old intake manifold over there. The old carburetor just looks like a hunk of rusted metal. Back seats, original radiator. I didn't really throw away a whole lot of stuff. I just didn't want to, in case I needed it as a reference, or I don't know, if I want to fix something at some point. There's like random brake parts even over there for the back on the floor. I have like 2 different carburetors I can choose from. One's a Holley 670. It's like a Street Avenger or something. The engine itself, I mentioned that it's going to have the Edelbrock heads. It's going to have the Offenhauser intake manifold that I have up there. It's going to have there's like 2 different Summit racing cams. They're like super cheap, but they're actually pretty good. It's the 8601, I think, is the one that we're going to be putting in there. And it's pretty decent sized cam, nothing too crazy, but a really good street cam. It's going to have those headers on it, the Hooker Super Comps. It's going to have, what else? I feel like I'm missing something, but I can't remember. It's just, there's so much. I feel like there's honestly like at least 10 different like projects going at the same time. I still, like, I did mention I need to get that console like fastened down and everything, so that's probably gonna be one of the next things I do. I have this like somewhat okay for the inside, so it's like almost like at a point where I don't really have to do a whole lot more here, but I was thinking somewhat recently that the heater core, I have no idea what kind of shape it's in, and I'd rather it not leak all over the inside of the car the first time we get this thing running. So it might be a situation where, well, I guess we could probably just bypass it too, but I don't know. I might just take it all out, just get it out of the car so I don't have to think about it. And one of the last small things that I planned on doing, I haven't really touched since I started it, is I'm gonna make a triple gauge cluster for the driver's side. Obviously, I need to still buy gauges and all that. That's probably not gonna happen until I get closer to everything being in and operable. But anyways, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's just about everything I can think about that needs to be done on the car, and that's pretty much where I'm at on it. It's a good, solid car. You know, it has its problems here and there. It's a really cool car. It's it's a 401, which is hard to find. A Javelin AMX with a 401, like that's pretty much the holy grail for most people, at least for me, like most AMC people, which there's, you know, at least 20 of them. There's gonna be a ton more videos coming eventually. It's just, you know, I've said it before, I'm not like Hot Rod Magazine or Roadkill or whatever. Like, I don't have like a company budget to just kind of like throw a ton of money at this and, you know, get it running in a weekend or even a month. It's a big process, and it's largely being done by myself. You know, I definitely do get some help here and there. Ivan has been a huge help to me. Without Ivan helping me on this, like, I would have probably gotten stuck a few more times, especially on a lot of the suspension stuff. So thank you, Ivan. Also, again, thank you guys for subscribing and watching this process. Hopefully, if you're not subscribed yet, you do that right now. I will be coming out with more videos very shortly, so stick around. Thanks, guys. Take it easy.